What's up, everybody? Marshall. Well, what's up? Nobody right now. Nobody's in here yet. We'll see if anybody joins. If not, I'm not going to stay on here long. Welcome to whoever just joined. Even if you only stay a second, I appreciate you even dipping in here. This channel is normally about hobby stuff, whether it be fishing, kayaking, RCing. What's up, brother? Good to have you here. Wishing I was fishing 73 in the house. I got my old fishing hat on today. It started coming apart around the bill right there. There it is. Shut up and fish. Shut up and fish. I haven't found another one with this saying on it since I bought this one. So even though it's coming apart frayed right here, I still wear it some. My girlfriend had got me the new one that says Kiss My Bass. So I switch out. I wear this one some. I wear the Kiss My Bass one some. And then I had also got one that has the S for Superman on it. I got a shirt that says the same thing. Cool. But once I bought this hat, I never saw any more, for sale that said that. And I was just like, well, I'm going to hold on to that hat. I've had it a while now. I mean, quite a while. I've had it the whole time I've been here. And I had it the whole time I lived beside you, brother. I had it the whole 6 years I lived there. So this hat's like 8 years old or something. Somewhere along there. I like the saying. Because I remember when I was growing up, my dad would take me fishing on his bass boat here and there. And he'd be like, shh, you'll scare the fish away. I got a hat that says fish tremble when they hear my name. I like that. Hope everything's been well down your way. Hope you and your wife are doing well. I figure your RC car, little mini one, still hasn't made it yet. And it's probably got a lot to do with the virus thing going around. I meant to get on here around 8:30, but I got busy doing something else. And I was catching up on some people's YouTube videos that I hadn't caught up on yet. And it ran me a little bit late getting on here. Yeah, I'm figuring, some sites like that, because it's got to come from China to over here, some sites like that are just trying to hold off a little bit, wait until this starts clearing up, and then they'll ship it. I don't know. That's my guess, because certain sites will let you know there's gonna be a possible delay. Now, I was glancing around on wish.com. They don't say it. But I was glancing around over on a site called Top Hatter, where you can either go buy stuff straight out a lot of times, or you can jump in and do a bid thing, kind of like you do on eBay, where you bid for the item and try to win it. But I think their bidding sessions only like 5 or 10 minutes. It's not like you put it up there for 6 days and wait till the highest bidder, it's over with. But Top Hatter said on there, please note, you will probably experience delayed shipping on account of, and it was talking about the virus. So I already know that one's doing that. And my closest Dick's Sporting Goods to me, which is like, I want to say 58 minutes. That's what I want to say. Roughly an hour away. They closed. They closed down any in-store operations. Now it says they are open to online purchases and delivering it out that way, shipping it. And they are, I think, open to like kind of like a curbside, no contact pickup. In other words, you want to order it and have it for pickup. You tell them the time you're coming or call when you're coming, and they just bring it out. Basically, as you pull up to get it, they go back in. You walk over there, pick your item up, load it in your car yourself, and drive off. Basically, a no contact pickup. So that way, nobody's within 6 feet of each other. You pull up to get it, they go back in. I guess you just call out from your car window and say what you're there to pick up, or your name, and they'll have that, and they'll just look at the sheet and be like, okay, thank you, and then they turn and go back in. I don't know, but yeah, that's Dick's Sporting Goods, and I mean, that's like literally, like I said, it's either 56 or 59 minutes away, so you might as well say an hour, and they've already closed to any in-store business. You can't walk in there and do any shopping at all. They didn't just cut hours. Yeah, man, it's looking rough. All the places around me. Now, Academy Sports, there's one of them. I think it's an hour and 2 minutes away. They've cut their hours down. They close like at 7 p.m. now, instead of staying open to 9 or 10 or whatever it is at night. So they're closing like 2 or 3 hours early. The Walmart in the actual town I live in, or the county I live in, whichever way you want to say it, the actual Walmart here, they went to closing like 3.5 hours early. Yeah. They close at like 7:30 now, when they used to close around 11 or 12, they're opening an hour later than what they normally opened. They said it gives them time. They need all that extra time to restock with all this mess going on. But yeah. I appreciate the comment wishing I was fishing 73. I really appreciate that about my camera angles and everything on my last RC adventure that I did over there in the woods. I like it when people watch my RC videos and they watch my hobby talk that I have every Tuesday. I'm not really interested in angry news, man. I'm just updating a buddy of mine that I used to live beside on what it's like right here near me. Just talking about the coronavirus. I was just throwing that out there, but mainly this is about hobby stuff. I really appreciate that wishing I was fishing 73. Because yeah, man, I was working with the camera, setting it, trying to get the right angles. I was trying to get some good angles on it. I was trying to get some good close-ups of that truck. Because I actually did a lot of customizing on putting the different accessories that are on the truck. The gun coming out the front windshield, coming off the hood. The gun at the back of the truck, the jerry can, different things like that. Fire extinguishers on each side of the truck. Then I added a nitrous NOS system where you've got the NOS bottle here, and then I ran a piece of clear hose all the way up to the blower and everything. I did a lot of customizing to get it that way. Plus, I did what they call weathering effects. When you look at the video, you see some more brown spots that look like rust. And then on my rims, I actually did brown on them and gave it a good rust. Be careful not to weight that thing down too much. You end up burning it up, and it'll be gone before you know it. Just saying. That's the only bad thing about putting extra weight on an RC. You weight it down too much. If it doesn't handle it, then it torches it. But if you think it can handle the plow and you ain't worried about it damaging it, hey, go for it. But there's no snow where I live, so I don't really have the use for a plow. Because I've been here over a year and it hasn't snowed once since I've been here so far. So I don't really have the need for a plow. I told everybody if I ever needed a plow for the snow and everything on an RC, I'd probably try to get a Kyosho Blizzard with the tracks on it and with the snow plow on front. But here, there's not enough snow to ever need a plow. Boat, yeah. Plow, no. Either make it out of some light plastic or either maybe some very light aluminum. But yeah. Right now they have 4 confirmed cases in the county where I live of the coronavirus. So right here in the county I live in, there's already 4 confirmed cases. So, and where I'm situated here, down below me, like 2 towns, there's 2 more towns down there with like 4 and 8 confirmed cases. I'm here. There's a town about 1 town over. It's got like 8 cases. And then there's a couple more towns. There's one over here to the right. It's got 5 confirmed cases. And then 1 town above me has got 4 confirmed cases. So there's a lot of confirmed cases around me. And we have 4 confirmed cases for our county. Might get an RC jet boat this weekend. You need to get some curly tail grubs to take fishing. I think I got some, brother. I'll have to check my tackle box, but I think I've got some. I'm wanting to get out to do some fishing as soon as all this rain we're having lets up. We started having rain like the day after I went out there and did that run video in the woods. It's like the day after I did that. We've had like 3 days of rain straight since that. You know, it's just been every day. And it might calm down for like 30 minutes and then all of a sudden the sky just falls out. And I mean that hard pelting where it sounds like it's hailing out there. And I'm like, nah, I'll go out in a little bit of drizzle, maybe throw on a poncho or just throw on a hoodie and fish in a little bit of drizzle. But I'm not going out in no pounding rain. It sounds like it's hailing out there. You know. But I'll definitely look into my tackle box. Check all my crappie jigs and see if I got any curly tail grubs in there. Because I know I got a lot of different tails to put on the little small jig heads for like crappie and stuff. And I've got some bigger ones. Now I've got a beetle spin, you know, and it has the spinner, and then it has the 2 little like tails that 2 little things that point out like that to kind of do like that. But that's still not a curly tail. And I got a few swim tail small baits, and then I got the bigger ones. So what happened to the, not to change the subject, but what happened to the jet? What happened to the other RC boat you were supposed to get? The one you were getting that was supposed to replace yours that blew up. Because remember you made like, you went on 2 or 3 of my videos or back on my talks and made comments about a boat, RC boat you were getting to replace the other one. And then you quit talking about the RC boat, and you said you were getting this little dune buggy style looking car. And you said you were about to unbox it and do a video on it running. And then I didn't hear any more about the boat. But yeah, man, I went actually on the Weather Channel. I've got it down, the app downloaded for my laptop, and I went on there, and they've got a spot where you can click on it, and it shows you the map. It shows you like confirmed cases and everything in your area and other areas, you know. And that's what I went and looked at just to see. I think it's been 238 or 248 as of right now in South Carolina to get it, in all of South Carolina. So, you know, but oh yeah, wishing I was fishing 73. I'll aim this towards you. I did some cleanup on it. Did some cleanup on that. Even cleaned the whole rod, as you can see. Tied me a bullet weight on there. Even though I don't think this is going to be heavy enough, that bullet weight, to pull the line off when I go to throw it, since it doesn't have the button you mash too. Seems to be set up for a little bit heavier stuff. Thank you. I thought I had it looking pretty good. Plus, I pulled about 15 yards of the oldest line off the top. Like I said, I'm gonna, I soaked this screw with WD, and I was able to break it loose from the rust and then tighten it down. So now the reel doesn't wobble at all. Excuse me. So now I've got everything ready. Then I opened the little door thing right here. I opened that, greased up the gears real good. Yeah, it's a 1960 Fluger. It's got the bait alarm right here where you flip that switch and that makes it. And then you can turn that off so you don't hear it if you don't want to. To me, this would be a pretty good trolling unit. If you could sling it out a little ways behind you, put you like a live shiner on it with like say a 15, 20 pound line, a live shiner about like that, and just have him free swimming behind you. This would be good for something like that, because then when a fish come up and took him and started taking off with him, and then you can turn around and try to set the hook. But seems like a little bit hard for everyday fishing because, you know, there's no button. And every time they pull on it, you got to be steady cranking it. It's like the drag's on all the time. I've messed with the knob. That's the only really adjustment jump knob on it, is right here. I've tightened that knob and I've loosened that knob, and it still seems to come off about the same. But the only thing I can think of is maybe loosen up right here on each side, loosen the spool up just a hair on each side, just to let the line come off maybe a little bit quicker. Or I'm going to have to put a heavier, whatever I'm throwing is going to have to be heavier. The idea is to clean that up, which I did. cut off some of the excess old line. So the line that was sitting out in the sun is gone, and it's, better line underneath, just a little dirty. Take that 1960 Fluger outside, put the GoPro right here on my chest, the Hero 5, and then film me trying to pitch it out. Because everybody that was watching me when I showed this said they wanted to see me bird nest it. They wanted to see me try to throw it and see how bad I was going to bird nest it or backlash it, whichever way you want to say it. And I'm like, okay, once I clean it up and everything, and I get a little bit of get it figured out a little bit more, then I'll take it out and give it a try. Well, that weight on it, if you just do a little light swing, it's not going nowhere. Yeah. That's what I kind of figured. But the way it's set up to where when you go to throw it, it seems like you're going to need heavier than what I've got on there. Because I was just playing around in the living room before I went outside, before I go outside to do it. Once I put that weight on there, I tried to do this and just pitch it across a piece of furniture, and none of the line came out. So I may have to go with like an ounce, put an ounce sinker on there, half ounce to an ounce sinker, walk out in the front yard and then just pitch it and sidearm it out, see if I can get it to throw out anywhere, and use my thumb to slow it down as it's going out or whatever. But yeah, I figure when you start reeling him in, you crank back on it, you have to put your thumb up there to slow down his pulling it back out. But yeah, that may not be my favorite reel to actually use. I wanted to see if I could get it working, to see if I could actually go outside and cast it and reel it back in. If I can accomplish that, then okay, I know, I've been able to do that with it. But that don't mean I'm going to take it and put it on a rod and go down to the lake and use it. I don't know. That one I haven't decided on. Not sure on that one. But I'm definitely waiting on the weather to clear here. It's definitely going to see the yard, at least for testing it out to see if I can throw it. Would be better on the wall. Yeah. That it belonged to my girlfriend's granddaddy. And when he passed away, her mom knew how much I liked fishing, so she passed it on to me. So it may be a wall thing for sure. Now, that's not saying I might not get a regular bait caster and try to learn, a regular bait caster. Because I've seen guys, man, with a bait caster with all the ball bearings they got and with the, gear ratio they've got, man, you can retrieve so much quicker with them than you can the spinning reels. I'd kind of like to try one just to see if I could at least get the hang of it where I could use it some and be successful with it. I'm not saying necessarily stand there and throw it over my head, but at least be able to sidearm it and pitch it a good ways out. Maybe reeling a fish every now and then on one, and not bird nest or backlash every time or every other time I throw it. So I do want to get a, bait caster to try to throw, but that might not be the bait casting style reel I want to go that way with. Like I said, that may hit the yard. Try to throw it out a couple times just to see if it still goes, which like I said, I did open it up and grease inside the gears. But whether that thing ever sees the lake, probably not. Because for one, the lines Been on there ever since my girlfriend's granddaddy passed away. So the line's really old. The reel is a 1960. It's not really worth any money because one of the YouTubers that was on here last week when I showed it, he looked it up. And they're not really worth anything. It's just sentimental value because that came from her granddaddy, you know. And I got along real good with him. We shared fishing stories. We talked every time I went down there. So, you know, I kept it for that reason. That's the only reason I kept it, mainly. And then I got to thinking about it. It was sitting up. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I got that rod and reel from Darcy's granddaddy. Let me clean it up and see if I can throw that. I just got a fly rod going to see if I can throw it. Cool. I've watched a couple times where people grab it, you know, and they grab the line and do all this, pull it out, and then throw it out, and then they reel up the slack. But I don't know. I understand the premise because the line's so light and because you're using them little bitty flies tied on, you know. But now what I've done in the past that worked, I get me one of my ultralight reels, an ultralight rod, put me a 2-pound line on there, tie me on a fly at the end, come, say like 3 or 4 feet above it with a cork, and then I just chunk it out there, and then just kind of pop it 2 or 3 times like that, reel it a couple times, and then just slowly bring it back to me. And I've caught brim on flies a bunch of times doing it that way. And especially if you can throw anywhere where you see bugs landing on the top of the water. One time I was somewhere and there was a bunch of like dragonflies and different things landing at the top of the water, and I'd throw that fly right out there where they were pumping the top of the water, and brim would just tear that thing up. But I haven't fished with a fly, even on 2-pound line, even on my little, you know, ultralight setup that I had back then. I haven't fished with a fly rig up in, probably 7 years. But I have used them before. Just never used an actual fly fishing rod. And the biggest thing I want to do that I haven't done yet, and yeah, I would buy a fly fishing rod to give it a try. Then again, I might just would take a rod and reel with some 2-pound line on it and go out there and just try to, you know, throw out stuff. I've never fished for trout. Never, you know, in my whole life, I've never fished for trout. I've ate trout once. A buddy of mine, he went fishing with some people he knew, and they caught some trout, and he brought me some. But if I could find a river near me, I'm not talking about a river 4 hours away, 3 hours away, really 2 hours away. If I could find a river within an hour from here, or a lake that I knew had trout in it, you know, river, stream, lake, it don't matter. If I could find something within an hour, maybe an hour and 15, would go an hour and a half. But I really don't want to drive 3 hours, you know, just to try to catch one, especially if I'm trying a rod I've never used before. Like, say, a brand new fly rod. I would probably take one of my, you know, micro reels, have 2-pound line on it, and see what I could do with that. And maybe throw some small little jigs and different things out there. Maybe throw some of the flies with the cork like I was talking about. You know. I know the thing about the flies and the line that they use on the fly rods is the fact that the line sits up on the water and the fly just lays up on the top. So that way when you're bringing it back, it's just scooting across the top of the water. makes it look more realistic. But yeah, like I said, I've never used a fly fishing rod. Good luck with that, brother. Now you got to do a video on the first time you use it. Do us a video first time you use the fly rod. That way I can see what it looks like somebody using it for the first time. Because I'd like to know. Because you can find, if you're just wanting something to, give it a try, you can find a little cheap fly rod setup. You can go online different sites and find a little cheap fly rod, what they call a fly rod kit, where you get to like the little reel, you get the rod, you get the line, and you get a couple of different maybe type things to throw, lures to throw or whatever. You get a little cheap package deal. That way you got everything you need to go out and at least try to catch a trout. Excuse me. But yeah, that's the one fish I've never fished for that I would like to try. I mean, I fished for catfish and I've caught some. I fished for bass, caught them. I fished for brim, caught them. Fished for crappie and caught them. But I've never fished for trout. So I'll be happy to catch anything on it. Yeah, realistically, if you're not a place that's exclusively trout, like say a river or a stream that you know has got trout in it, you ought to get out there and catch a bunch of sunfish, But if you're out there fishing with a fly rod and you catch a panfish on it, you're not going to be upset because you'll be like, okay, at least I caught something. I didn't get a trout on it, but at least I caught something with it. Anytime you buy a new tackle, if you can catch something with it, it makes it seem more worth it. It's like if you buy a brand new rod and reel or you buy brand new lures and you've used them for a year. You never caught anything with that rod and reel, never caught anything on those lures. You feel like, okay, either I'm doing something really, really wrong, those lures aren't the right colors, or I'm not presenting them right, or my rod and reel's just crap, which I don't really know yet because I haven't caught anything on it yet. So, might be the action of the rod. You're not feeling little slight hits. Because a lot of people say it comes down to the action of the rod. Because if you don't feel the little slight hits when they're coming up just lightly hitting on it, a lot of times you'll miss fish. But, there's so many things. But I leave it on either not fishing it quite right for that time of year. Maybe not presenting it in the right way that they want it, to bring them out, or color. Those are two of your main reasons right there that you're not getting hits, during the year. Because a lot of times I know I may not be presenting that type of lure right at that time of year. Or I may be presenting the wrong color. Like say I've got a chartreuse and the water is dirtier than what I think it is. Maybe I should have had a red or orange or a color more for dirty water, But, it also, the type of lure. I watched a guy the other day. He was throwing top water. He wasn't getting no hits. And he was throwing at cover. He said that's the main time he uses top water is when he sees some cover around. Like if you got trees coming out in the water, laying in the water, bushes sticking up out the water, he'll throw all around that with his top water frog. But he said, if you're out somewhere where you got no cover, he tends to leave the frog alone if you can't find any cover to throw it near. But that day he was throwing all around the cover. They wasn't touching the top water frog. He dropped down to like a middle running bait about middle ways down, about maybe 5 foot deep. They wasn't touching it. He dropped stuff where you were slowly dragging it and hopping it across the bottom. He started wearing out the fish then. And he's like, see, you never can tell. Some days you go out there and slay them with top water. Other days it's middle ways down. Other days it's bottom stuff. And then, of course, color does have a lot to do with it. And the action of the lure. You know. But yeah. I've got my fishing gear set up so when it's not raining or not monsooning, I'm going to see about either the poncho I got in my car, if it's just a drizzle, put that poncho on, or maybe the poncho I got out there in my kayak. I sent you a pic of a crappie I caught. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Man, I was watching a video, and this is no lie. I was watching a video. Guy took like crappie jigs, like a jig head. Maybe a little bit bigger than some of your crappie jigs, but I think it was a crappie jig. And instead of putting a crappie jig tail on it, he went to Dollar Tree and bought candies and went out and fished for candies. Different candies that he could hook on a hook. And dog treats. He gets out there, and there's these little bitty looking like little fish, little rubber like gummy fish, about that long. He put them on there, caught fish on that. Put these worms, it's a twin worm, pull it apart like that, one side sweet, one side sour, and they're different colors. He slid one of them up on that jig and had to, which just looked like a worm on a jig, on a hook. He threw that out there and caught fish. He threw, it looked like a little, it was a pig in a blanket, but for dogs. Had the like little weenie in the middle, wrapped around with the doughy stuff, treats for your dogs. He took one of those, broke it in half, slid it up on there, squished it around the hook a little bit, threw it out, caught a cat on that. He caught bass and brim on the other two baits I'm talking about. And then he bought a fourth thing from there that didn't work. It was a little snake, little rubber toy snake. And he put that on the hook. He didn't catch anything on it. But the 3 candies. So in other words, he spent like $4.20, whatever it was, with tax. Bought this stuff, hooked it all on this jig head, and fished with nothing but that stuff. And literally 3 out of the 4 things this guy caught fish on. He caught bass, brim, and a cat all down there in one day. Now, part of it could be, you know, it was a pond. Maybe a lot of people don't fish there, and the fish were really hungry. Part of people, you know, a lot of people would say, yeah, man, them fish were just really hungry. He went to a pond where many people don't fish, and he wore them out. You know, other people would say, hey, sometimes fish will eat anything. But, you know, that goes back to how hungry they are, what they'll eat. But it was just a cool video to watch, to see somebody out there fishing with candies, mostly, from Dollar Tree, 2 candies, a dog treat, and a toy, and catching fish on 3 out of the 4. He even took the dog treats, broke them up in about 15, 20 pieces, dropped them into these little plastic bottles he had made minnow traps out of, and dropped them into a creek over behind the pond, and then went back an hour later, pulled them up, and had caught like 5 or 6 minnows using those dog treats as bait. Then he used those minnows and caught fish. So it was just a cool video to watch. It was just like, so he shows, you know, a lot of different things that can catch fish. It ain't always got to be a $20, $30 swim bait. Depends on where you go and how you throw it, you know, a lot of times. But watched another guy catch. He said probably his biggest fish he'd ever caught. He caught a big old like 10-pound carp fishing with corn, which I know that is a good catfish and carp bait. It's corn. Buy you that $1 can of corn, drain the juice out the top of it, fill your hook up with the kernels of corn, chunk it out there in the water and let it sink to the bottom, set your rod in the rod holder, tighten the line down a little bit, and wait. Of course, you could take a few kernels out of the can and just chunk them out there in the water and at it close to that area, bring them near you. So that fish was a monster, huh? I'll definitely have to get a look at it. But this guy was catching brim as big as my hand or bigger. And I'm talking fingertip to back here, to the back of the hand. He was catching brim like that, just boom, 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 on these candies. And then when he put the minnows out there, he was still catching them. Like I said, he caught catfish. He caught one catfish. I think he caught one cat, one bass. Or it could have been two bass. And then the rest were brim. And every brim he caught seemed to be as big as his hand, if not bigger. So they were all good sized brim. In other words, everyone he caught was eating size. Wasn't nothing that you were going to throw back. Unless you just don't keep anything. And he wasn't keeping anything because he said, I got to cut this video short. I got to go meet my girlfriend. We had plans. So, wasn't like he was going to try to keep those fish to go take them to, clean them and cook them. He just let them go back as he was catching them. But yeah, it was an interesting watch. I never saw anybody go into a Dollar Tree, buy stuff and go fishing with stuff from Dollar Tree. Not there, But it was just, it was funny and cool at the same time. And the reason I haven't seen the picture of the crappie yet is I don't have my phone on. I got my phone turned off. When I'm over here on the computer chatting, doing this, I got my phone turned off. That way there ain't no beeping, there ain't no nothing to distract while I'm doing this. I'll check and look at that monster crappie when I get done with this. But yeah, one of my next two things to do is take that antique bait caster, that 1960 Fluger, take that out and just see if I can throw it, without bird nest or backlashing it like crazy. Reel it back in, maybe cast it a couple times just to prove that I can do it. And then probably just bring it back in and just set it in the corner somewhere and maybe later time hang it on some hooks on a wall or something. But I do want to get me a bait caster though, just to try out. But I'm not going to put a lot of money in one. I'll get me a cheap little setup, just to play around with. That way, if I can't master it, I didn't put much money into it. I don't want to drop $200 in a rod and reel, and then I don't like the rod and reel, and I can't sell it for nowhere near what I put into it. I'd rather spend 20, 30, 40 for the rod and reel combo, add some line to it, try it out. If I don't like it, then if I can't sell it, I'm only out 30, 40 bucks. Maybe 40 or 50 once you add the line, And if you buy a bigger spool of a lesser name, you still got some line left over. If you bought braid, you could take that and put it on one of these spinning reels, But I do want to get me a bait caster. Like I said, though, it may just be the cheapest of cheap just to try to learn on. And then if I learn how to pitch it and I'm not getting bird nest and backlash and I'm doing pretty good with it, like just say side arming it real good, catching some fish. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Buy some cheap line, buy me a cheap bait casting rod and reel, whether it be combo or whatever, put some cheaper line on it. And that way, if I got to sit there and cut all that off because the backlash and bird nest, I ain't out that much money. And then if I don't like the rod and reel, you go, okay, I got $30 invested in this. You set it to the side. And then if you want to sell it, you could. And even if you lose a little bit of money, it ain't that much. Or if you get good at it, you can be like, well, man, I done got good at this side arming this thing. And then you try to throw it overhead and that doesn't work. You might be like, well, okay, I want to upgrade to a little bit better one now and give that a try. You know, if you progress and get better with it, then you might want to go for a better one with better line. But yeah, to start out, why do you want to spend $20 or $30 on some fishing line, 20, 30 on a fishing line, and then 40 or 50 on a rod, in reel or more? Say you got $60 for the rod and reel combo. And then you put $20 line on there. You got $80 invested in something. You throw it 10 times, get pissed off on it, and don't use it anymore. You done sank $60, $80 saying something that if you sell it, somebody might offer you 20, 25, 30. They're going to act like you've used it, even if you only threw it 5 times. Whereas if you go out and you spend 20 to 30 for the rod and reel combo, then you put like a $5 or less line on there, you're out, what, $25, $35 if you can't do anything with it. You know. I'm just trying to think ahead because I see people fishing with these bait casters and what they can do when they do that sidearm cast, how far they can throw it across a pond or out in the lake. It's just like, wow. You know, I've seen a guy stand on a pond and whip it, and he was probably like this far from going up on the bank on the other side of it, and this was a good distance. And I'm like, wow. And I know he laid his thumb up there and made it break and drop in the water right there so he didn't go up on the bank. And I'm sitting there going, wow. And then the gear ratio is another reason I want to try one. Because, you know, every crank of the handle really brings that line back in compared to other reels. A lot of those bait casters, they got like 6 something to 1 gear ratios, 7 something to 1 gear ratios, and 8 something to 1 gear ratios. Whereas your spinning reels, most of them are like 5 something to 1, like 5.2 to 1, and you're sitting with 6.3 to 1 or 7.2 to 1 or 8.1 to 1 on some of the bait casters. That's why I just want to try one just to see if you can master even one technique of throwing them. You know, I got a 9 to 1 speed reel. Wow. Yeah. So now that's something where you can get your line in really quick. Like say you throw out and you have a fish bite at it and you didn't wait quite long enough and you kind of pulled it away from it. You can reel that thing in real quick, chunk it out a little bit further than what you did before to get past him, and then come back at him again to see if he'd come back at it again. Whereas with a spinning reel, most of them, I don't think I got too many 9 to 1s. I probably don't even have any 8 to 1s. I'd have to look. Yeah. Every turn of the handle brings in 56 inches of the line. Yeah. That's why I want at least one bait caster or either one really high level spinning reel. Who's the spinning reel? What's the one you got that does 9 to 1? I'd have to look at all my reels and see what the highest gear ratio one I've got is. But I don't think any of them are up there. I don't think any of them are in the 8s or 9s. They probably ain't in the 7s, my luck. I'm probably the 5s and the 6s, probably. But I'll have to check my rod and reels, my reels that are on the rods. Fluger. So you got a Fluger bait caster. That's your 9 to 1, huh? What's your highest spinning reel gear ratio that you got? Or do you know? 5 to 1. See, that's like basically half, basically. And if you look at a lot of those bait casters, look at the ball bearing construction compared to most of your spinning reels. Most of your spinning reels that you see, 1 ball bearing, 2 ball bearing, 3 ball bearing, 4, 5, and 6, you see a lot. You don't see that many spinning reels, 13 ball bearings, 14 ball bearings, 17 ball bearings, 18 ball bearings. You don't see too many spinning reels up there with 17.1 ball bearings. It's a 12, see, 12 ball bearing. See, but I see all kind of bait casters. 12 plus 1, 13 plus 1, 17 plus 1, 18 ball bearing. And that's one reason they're so smooth. That's why I want to try one. But now the first one I get won't be no 9-to-1 gear ratio. It's probably going to be either like a 6-3-to-1 ratio, a 7-1-to-1, like that, or an 8. It's going to be somewhere one of those. The first one I get. I did see one the other day. It was 6. I think it was 6-3-to-1, 6.3-to-1. And I'm like, so basically 6.5-to-1. But that's still probably better than the majority of spinning reels I've got over there, as far as reeling it in quick. I could get something like that, start out, see if I like it, and then if I like it, go to a 7-to-1, 7.1-to-1, or go with an 8.1-to-1. If I like the cheapest one first. Because I just don't want to go straight out and get me like a straight up 9-to-1 bait caster. I don't want to go straight up and get a 9-to-1 bait caster, and because I'm gonna probably put a lot of money into something like that. I did see an 8-to-1 the other day. I forgot where I saw that, and it was actually a reasonable price. And I was like, man, now that one will reel in quick. And I watched a couple of fishing channels. The main one they use is like your 7-to-1. The better the reel, the easier to throw. Yeah, but with my name, budget guy, sometimes you just can't. You can't see throwing $60 in one reel, or $80, or $100, or $200 right off the bat. You kind of like have to build up to that, and for somebody like me, because it's going to take me a while to come up with. Say if your Fluger, I'm just throwing a price out there. Say your Fluger was a 9-to-1, and it's $120 when you bought it. I'm just throwing a price out. I don't know what Flugers cost, or that one. Say it's $120. That's a lot of money if you can't cast it, you don't like it, just to sit in a corner and collect dust, and then for you to try to sell and hope somebody else really wants it. Because you know yourself, well, you should, I figure you do as much as you fish. You generally see more people on the lake from the bank fishing with a spinning reel than you do a bait caster. They're just easier to learn. I mean, it's not hard to learn and master a spinning reel. Just like it's not hard to learn and master a Zebco 33, 202, any of those type. But that bait caster, it's hard to get good with them. And it's hard to get good enough where you want to use that thing every time you fish. And if you don't like it and you put it down, chances are you may never pick it back up. And so you got 120 or more in just the reel. Then you got another 60 to 100 in the rod. You got a $200 rod and reel over there. Then you went and spent $20 for the braid that's on it. You got $240 and something. And you used it 6 times, got aggravated with it because it backlashed all 6 times. And you can't fish it. You can't get it figured out. You put it down. You're out at least half that money, if not the majority of it, because it's going to be a tough sale putting it out somewhere for sale, because of the bait caster part of it. See, $400, man. your setup is probably, let's see, your setup costs more than my kayak did. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You spent $400 for your rig. Your rig. Now, if you tried to sell it, you might pull 100 off of it. Well, me being budget guy, you know, I can't afford to blow $400 on a fishing, you know, get up and then not be able to push it for close to what I sold it for, or at least half, you know. Now, if you bought that thing for 400, you tried to throw it, say 50, 60 times, got aggravated with it, then you tried to sell it and you brought 200 out of it. You could say, okay, at least I got half my money back. If you can get half of what you paid, not as upset. But if you only got 100 out of 400 back, I work for the bait shops on the weekend to pay for it. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. That's more money, more money, more money. I mean, you literally think about it. You probably spent as much for that setup as I spent for my kayak and the majority of the upgrades I've done on my kayak. I might have somewhere near that now in my kayak with all the upgrades I've done to it. Oh, I didn't say I didn't say you had money to just go straight out, spend $400 on it at one time. I'm just saying, I know I don't. You know, I get online and see a $25 combo I'd like to give a try. And I got to sit there and go, don't think I got it right now. I'll wait till next week or the next week, see if I got enough to get it. That's my way of thinking. I've even got to think about the $25 ones, you know. But at tax time, that's the only time I can do generally a little more. Why do you think I did most of those kayak mods when I did them? I had just got tax money back, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get me them flush mount rod holders. I'm going to get this and this and this. I'm going to go ahead and do all this stuff to my kayak now. I mean, you think about it, that boat seat cushion that I put in there. That was a $28 cushion. I mean, it is 3.75 inches thick, but that was a $28 cushion. I wouldn't have bought that any other time of the year. I would have done like you said. I'd have went to Walmart and spent $10.50 after tax and got that throwable seat thing, that throwable cushion. I'd have got that life preserver throwable cushion. And I'd have just sat it down in the kayak, sat my butt down on it, and went on about my business had that been any other time of the year. But during tax time, I was like, wait a minute, this thing bolsters over 3.5 inches of cushion. I want to try this, and my taxes are coming back. I'm going to try it when they come back if they still got them in stock. And that's why I jumped on it. But yeah, it's just, I've got a combo I looked at. It's a Lews, Lews, Lews. I know you've heard of them. It's a spinning combo. And it's on I think a speed stick. It's a Lews. Oh yeah. Lews American Hero with a speed stick rod. And it's like $25, $30 on a website I saw it on. And I kind of want to try that one out. But I have to sit there and go, do I really need it right this minute? Or am I going to wait a little bit longer? Yeah, 4 Lews speed spin reels. Cool. Love Lews. Well, I've got the one Lews. I've got the Hank Parker edition. I've got that one. It's a 6-foot rod, you know, just a regular rod and reel combo, you know, Lews. But it's the Hank Parker edition. That's the only Lews I've got. Now, if I was going to blow $100 on a 100, just say 100, 150 on a rod and reel combo, Most of my videos have the lose reels in them. Cool. Now, if I was going to blow $100, $150 on a combo, I'd probably, if I was going to try a bait caster that was a big name, I'd probably go get something like the Lose Mock Crush. Almost missed you. What's up, Massive Clouds? Gorilla Bear Tech. Oh, snap. Yep, we here. I ran a little bit late tonight. I didn't get on here till right at 9 o'clock. Yeah, we're discussing different combos and whether you should go cheap or expensive just to start out. I don't know, really. I hadn't decided at that moment. No. I lost $40.06 lures yesterday. I was so pissed. Yeah. That can make you a little upset. You get out there and it seems like every time you throw a lure or every other toss, you're losing a lure. Just got me another Sky RC, the speed meter. That you got you another GPS speed meter. Cool. You told me you were going to get another Sky one. I think you said it was going to be $60. I think that's what you said to me. Picks up 2 satellites instead of 1. Yeah, I heard they were one of the best. This one was 65 or 67. Still around that price. I mean, if you can get them in the price that you generally find them between 50 and 70, somewhere in there, depending on if they're on sale or not. You can find them in that $50 to $70 range. And to me, one of the best GPS ones you can, one of the best you can get. Like I said, somewhere between 50 and $70, depending on if they're on sale or not. I ordered it off of Amazon and RC Juice sent it to me. You had a chance to fish any? No, I was telling, wishing I was fishing 73. As soon as I did that trail video in the woods with my ECX Doomsday Barrage, as soon as I did that trail in the woods, that night, and ever since then, it's been raining. And I mean, we ain't talking about light rain. We talking about sounds like it's hailing outside. We've been getting some monsoomers. And I'm not hitting the monsoomer. I caught some good fish, and my dad caught a sturgeon, and he almost fell out of my Four Winds 160 Freedom boat. Now that would have definitely been something to catch on video. Dad falls out of boat while fishing with son. I'm going to order me another one for backup. These Sky RC GPS devices can break real easy. So they're not real durable, but they're awesome as far as the way they work. Because a lot of your speed run guys, they get the GPS that you put in your car and they tape it onto the car and they run it, or they use their cell phone. That was back in 2011 from my last comment to you. I've been doing pretty good at the local lake called a 6.2 largemouth a few days ago. It's like a mini pager in size and lightweight. Yeah, I know. It's about yay long, I think. Probably about yay wide and about that thick. And for Gorilla Bear Tech and Massive Clouds, I got it cleaned up. I got it all cleaned up now. I took it, cleaned the outside real good. Opened up that door right there. There's a little hole. Squirted in some grease, greased the gears real good. Cleaned it up real good. Pulled off about 20 yards of line off the top of it to get the oldest line off. Cut that loose. Put some WD on this screw right here to break it loose. It was rusted. And then I tightened it up so the reel doesn't wobble now. I lined it up, cleaned the rod, put the line all the way through all the eyes, went ahead and tied a weight on it. I'm going to take it out when it stops raining, and I'm going to try to throw it with this weight on it, and then if that doesn't work, I got a bigger weight I'm going to go to. And yes, I'm going to film that. Since I was asked to film that, I will film it. I caught a 7.8 largemouth and a 2.2 pound black crappie. Woo! Nice. I can't wait to see you try it. Yeah, that's going to be it might be quite the comedy show. Cool, 54 mile an hour. But yeah, I figured I'd go ahead and clean that reel up like I told y'all I was going to do. Went ahead and cleaned the rod as well. Because, man, this thing, the rod eyes have rusted. Pretty much almost every one of them's got rust on them. The rod eyes and everything. So it's not something I would use down at the lake for fishing. That thing would have to have new line put on it, and I'd have to take it and put it on a whole new rod if I was going to use that reel at all. Because the rod, a few times of throwing out with those rusted up eyes, that rust and stuff's going to rub on that line, deteriorate the line the rest of the way. I didn't put any on it. I pulled like 20 yards of the old off at the very top just to get rid of some of that old that would have been in the weather the most. So I pulled the top 20 yards of line off of it, cut that loose, pulled some more out, and then tied that weight on it. This is just so I can test it to see if it works. Because I don't see no sense in putting brand new line on it. I want to say, my guess is 15 to 20. Somewhere in that range. Because it's a pretty thick line, even though it's a mono. It's pretty thick. It's got a like a 12, 15 pound feel to it at least. So I think it's 10, 12, 15, or 20 up in those ranges. My best get is 12 or 15 at the lowest. Well, I think it would make a good trolling rod. In other words, since it doesn't have a brake type system, except for your thumb, you could toss it out behind you a little ways with, like, say, a live shiner. Get your live shiner about like this, put it on a hook, throw it out behind your boat, and then just leave it sitting and let it troll behind you. And when a fish comes up and hits it, you're going to hear him pulling out that line. Then you put your finger on the spool, pull back, set the hook, and start trying to reel him in. So I think it would be better for trolling in that aspect, but it would have to be on a different rod. Because that rod with the eyelets being rusted and everything, I would use it for stuff like, that. But it would have to come off of that rod, go onto a new rod, and have brand new line put on it to be fished either at a pond or at a lake. I wouldn't use the way it's set up right now. But I'm just doing this just to test it, see if it works. to see if I can cast it and get it to go more than 5 feet and then bring it back in. Mudfish, catfish, different things like that. If you trolling it behind you in a boat, a cart could come along, grab a hold of your bait, start taking off. Of course, you'd want to have the spool full of good line at that time, and you'd want it to be on a good rod if you're going to fish it for anything of any size. Yes, wishing I was fishing 73. When he does the speed runs, he's had some of his RCs up to 70, 80. People get them up like that. He did hit the 50-something mile an hour like he said. See, I actually did 80.7 miles per hour to be exact. 10.5 to 1 gear ratio, laughing out loud. Yeah. Well, Massive Clouds, wishing I was fishing, has a 9 to 1. So he can spool that, he can reel that thing in pretty quick too. He's got a Fluger bait caster that does 9 to 1. I got a speed reel. I can skip a fish across the top of the water. I caught the big Mamba Monster 2200 kV E-Revo on 6S LiPo power at 80. But I have an SRC Road Crusher belted. But I have SRC Road Crusher belted on road wheels on it. Ah. 9.1 is too fast for anything I throw. I tend to reel too fast with 7.5 to 1. Well, I was wishing I was fishing. My first bait caster is probably going to be a cheap, like 6.3 to 1, maybe up to a 7.1 to 1. My first bait caster that I would try to learn would be something like that. That way it's cheap, and then if I don't like it, too fast for me too. Fish can't catch the bait. But you can definitely get him in quick once you catch him. You can definitely reel him quick. Rear Traxxas aluminum anodized blue chassis brace and a Traxxas wheelie bar. I really like the Black Max 6.4 to 1 on a majority of lures. So in other words, a 6.3 to 1 wouldn't be that far off from what you like. If you like the 6.4 to 1, I looked at a cheaper model, 6.3 to 1. That was running it with the stock body. Yeah, like I said, I want to go somewhere between the 6.3 to 1 up to maybe 7.1 to 1. Yeah, that is a good speed with the stock body on it. You'd decide on what kind of body you're going to get yet. Remember, we chatted up a long time last week about what body you were going to go with. The lower the gear, the slower, but stronger the reel is. So in other words, if you get a 2.5 to 1, you're going to have a tank. It's just going to take you a year to get it in. You'll have a tank. They won't tear the reel up, but you might be out there for 6 months catching that one fish. So you got to try to find that happy medium. I think that's why a lot of people do like your spinning reels, because most of them are around your 5 something gear ratio. Wouldn't tell any difference between a 6.3 and a 6.4. Waiting for my next Google check. Cool. I will in April. All right. The Le Mans is badass, but I was thinking maybe a Mopar looking body. Hey, I told you the Le Mans. Now, if you're just wanting to get on the speed, go with the dragster body or the Le Mans body, in my opinion. But if you're wanting something to have that classic muscle car look, yeah, maybe an old Mopar, old Chevy, old Ford, something like that. Maybe even an old pickup truck, you know. Team Associate has recently put a dragster built ready to run vehicle called the DR10. A lot of people have already pre-ordered it. It's like $319. So $320 for a Team Associated Dragster RTR DR10. So the Team Associated Dragster 10 or Dragster 1/10, basically. I have to go take a look at it. I'd like to see what it looks like. Yep, brushless, ready to run with a dragster stock body, orange with some black and white. Don't sound like a bad looking vehicle if you're into the dragster stuff. Rear and front racing slicks or rear and front drag slicks. Cool. That'd be cool if you get with somebody who's got like the staging light set up and you're doing the dragster down a long strip of road. You set your staging lights up, have a person over here operating them, and you bring two people up to the line and let them do the drag like, some guys do. Videos of it are on YouTube currently. Yeah, the wheel width is probably about the width of the Traxxas Bandit front and rear. Ah, did I tell you about the 3-pound largemouth I snagged by the tail with a rattle trap? Yeah, you told me you hung him in the tail and it made him feel like he was huge. Shorter A-arms like the Bandit buggy. That might be something, because them Bandits, if you can keep the front end down on those Bandits, those things are quick. You build up a Bandit, they're pretty quick. I just like the four-wheel drive, like the Traxxas / four-wheel drive and other four-wheel drives, because you seem to get better grip on takeoff. You get a better launch. Because on those two-wheel drives, the vehicle always seems to want to go sideways more on takeoff. Seem like you got to ease into the throttle a little more with a two-wheel drive than you do with a four-wheel drive. Because four-wheel drive, it's all four wheels, and it just seems like it wants to drop down and go. Yeah. That's on 3S. Cool. Oh, it was what I told you. I went over to your channel after we chatted last week. And YouTube, when they switched all their stuff around and did stuff, they cut your notification bell off. They cut it down to minimum. I had it on get everything that you produce. They cut it down to it was either minimum or none. I clicked on that thing and clicked all, so that way I'd at least get notified when you put up new content. I'm talking to Gorilla Bear Tech right this second about that. Yeah, man. Like I said, I wasn't getting any notifications as far as I knew from you. And I was like, well, I know I'm subbed to him. I know I turned it on because I clicked the bell on everybody I subbed to. But when YouTube did a lot of that redoing stuff and everything, a lot of times that stuff gets cut off. I had a year that I went through where you'd lose like 300 or 600 subscribers and then you'd gain them back. It was like YouTube was taking them and giving them back. Everybody was fussing about it for almost a whole year. YouTube was all screwy that year. Yeah, that's crazy. Damn YouTube. Yeah. They don't know when to leave a good thing alone. A lot of their peaks, a lot of their, oh, we're going to peak this little area. We're going to peak this. We're going to, make this a little better. We're going to make this a little better. And then half the stuff they end up making way worse. And they should have just left it alone. Stock Bandit body. Yeah, got weight added to the Rustler and Bandit. They both share the same exact chassis. So I had to add lead weight. Yeah, they can definitely irritate you. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Now I'm honest about stuff. I gotta hop off, guys. Glad I could catch up with you. All right, my friend, I'm trying to stay safe. You missed it earlier. 4 cases in the county I live in on the virus thing already. So it has made it to where, to the part of South Carolina where I'm at. They've had 4 confirmed cases in the county I live in. Yeah, so got to definitely try to be careful. If you see anybody talking to you that's facing you, you got to try to pull away and get away. But man, if you get on an aisle, like me, I don't have enough room to store up 30 days worth of groceries. I don't have enough days to store up 30. I can't store up 30 days worth of groceries. So I got to go to the grocery store every week and a half, at least. And you get on certain aisles, and there's no way you can get 6 feet away from people. You just can't do it. You just got to, don't touch your face, don't touch your nose, don't touch any of your orifice up here. Once you get out of Walmart, come straight home, come in your house, clean your hands with Dawn, antibacterial. Y'all guys try to be as safe as you can, okay? Everybody seems to be popping off. I think I may do the same. All right, wishing I was fishing. You have a good one, brother. Massive clouds. Be safe, my friend. I'm going to make a dedicated coronavirus speed run on my channel real shorty. Well, I did that trailing in the woods with that Doomsday Barrage. I did that video. Like I said, I went to the grocery store once since I did that video, and it's been pouring down rain ever since. So I haven't really been back outside other than to walk my dogs and let them do their business. But when it clears up, I'm either going to go outside and throw that antique 1960 Fluger reel, or I'm going to head down to the lake if it's just drizzling, maybe throw a hoodie on or a poncho on, put my GoPro Hero 5 Pro on, and try out some of them wish lures and see if I can catch any fish with those. But anyway, everybody be safe, peace, have fun in your hobbies. This is Marshall. We out till next time. Later.